Phyllis Harmon.
And I'm Ken Coomes, and welcome to TV Toastmasters.
We're here to discuss with you, our listening audience, viewing audience, I guess.
And listening, hopefully.
Hopefully, a little bit about Toastmasters.
We are. And Phyllis, how did you get into Toastmasters?
Well, it's a long, sad story, Ken.
Uh-oh.
I joined Toastmasters to save my job. I was being really snarky to my stakeholders, and I was told to either clean up my act or find another job.
Ooh.
I went to my boss. I says, I don't know what to do. She says, you need Toastmasters. Well, that was like a word from on high. I joined Toastmasters and found out that I was really bad at communication. So Toastmasters taught me what I needed to know, and I was able to save my job and become very successful at what I did.
That doesn't sound like a sad story.
Well, it was the fact that I had to join an organization to find out how bad I was.
Okay.
But you know, how about you, Ken? How did you join?
My story is different.
Yeah?
A friend came to me and said, we're going to start a Toastmasters club. How would you like to join and help us out? We need to get 20 people.
Yeah?
And I said, I don't need Toastmasters. I know how to talk to people, but sure, I'll help you out. I was so wrong. I not only learned that I could be much better at communicating and speaking to people, my wife loves the part that I learned to listen more effectively. So Toastmasters taught me a lot more than just how to speak better, and it's available to you as well.
Well, that is true. You know, most of our clubs are open to the world, basically. So I want to ask you a really probing question.
Okay.
What do you find is the most fun about being in a Toastmasters club?
There are so many things I don't know where to start, so let me do this. The two things that come to mind if I can cheat. Number one is in my home club, Daylighters. Meet Wednesday every week, Wednesday morning, 6:30 in the morning. We have a humorist. Starts our day off with humor. So I get a great list of jokes. I get one every week. Sometimes I provide one. That's number one. But number two is really all about, I've formed a lot of friendships that have lasted for years now through Toastmasters. And that has been not only fun, but rewarding. How about you?
Well, I think what is the most fun for me is watching other people grow. And I know that sounds all touristic, but it's really not. Because if I can help someone else grow into who they're supposed to be, I get all kinds of love back from them. So, you know, it's kind of a selfish thing that I do, but I enjoy doing it. But I can tell you, one of the things that I've learned about myself the most is that there was a good reason I joined Toastmasters, because I really was bad at communication. Not that I'm great now, but I think I'm better. At least I try to be.
Well, maybe you're going to help somebody else save their job.
There you go.
Just like yours got saved.
There you go. Yeah. So what have you been doing as far as getting involved with your club, and what have you done lately that's really been a result of Toastmasters?
Well, I went through what a lot of us go through. I served as club officer in various positions, and I served as an area director and so forth. But recently, I completed my high performance leadership project.
Okay, so stop a minute. Tell me what that is first before you go into what you did.
Affectionately known as an HPL.
Yeah.
So what we get charged with doing is figuring out a way to grow in our leadership ability by coming up with a project that will help us grow as a leader and give other people the chance to grow under our leadership. So that's the High Performance Leadership, or HPL, project.
Okay, so now tell me what you did.
I write. I love to help other writers and meet other writers. I decided, actually it was somebody else who planted this seed a few years ago. It took a while to germinate. We decided to have a writer's workshop. And not just one, but start it and hopefully be an annual event. So this year in October, well, 2019 in October, we had our first writer's workshop. I came up with a corny name that turned out to be popular, Right Here, Right Now. And we had 8 different authors come and present things they knew, things they'd learned, talk about their journey, offer to sell and sign their books, to network. And we had aspiring writers and writers that were at various stages of writing come as the attendees, get to meet each other, get to listen and learn. We had writing exercises, and the feedback from the attendees was overwhelmingly positive.
Oh, good.
All of them want to come back next year if we do it next year. Most of our presenters want to come back next year. The couple of exceptions are those I didn't ask because it wasn't as great as it could have been this year. So it was a big success, just recently happened. And I would not have had the confidence to do such a thing if I hadn't grown through Toastmasters, not only in my speaking and listening skills, but my confidence and my ability to lead. How about you? What have you done recently that was really a little outside the norm perhaps, or stretched you a little bit in Toastmasters?
I think that what stretched me most recently in Toastmasters is I am working for a gentleman who goes out into the community and gives flu shots in companies.
Okay.
And I have been able to stretch myself by getting into marketing for him on the phone. I don't have great telephone skills, but with Toastmasters, I found that it's like doing extemporaneous speaking because you have to be quick with these people. They're looking for a service. I want to provide that service, but I don't want to sound like a total flake while I'm doing it. So I've been able to use some of my Toastmaster skills to do that. That's very different for me because phone usage is not my friend at all. So, but I am getting a little more comfortable with that. So let's go back. You were talking about your HPL. I want to ask you, with any big project like that, you must have come away with some takeaways. So what did you learn most from going through that exercise?
The 3 lessons I shared with my club, speaking after the project was done. Number 1, recruit well. I went out and I asked the busiest, most successful Toastmasters I knew, figuring they would be my first tier and they would say no because they didn't have the bandwidth, and then I'd go down to my second tier and my third tier and I'd finally get my team.
Yeah.
So I went out to high-powered, experienced, well-known Toastmasters. Most of them had already earned their Distinguished Toastmaster Award and asked them to be on my team or my guidance committee. And every one of them, because they're Toastmasters and like to help people, like you said, every one of them said yes the very first time. So my first tier, I had a great team. I'm all set. What do I do now? Well, I have to lead that team to something, right?
Right.
Second lesson, you got a great team? Listen to them. Respect them. I learned that listening skill that my wife loves. So when they came up with an idea, I'd listen and decide if it made sense or not. Sometimes it was great right out of the box. Sometimes with a little massaging it became a great idea and part of what we did. Rarely, but occasionally, it might be an idea that I asked that we think about that for maybe the next workshop. So we could do only a certain amount of time this time in the time we had. But I listened to them, I respected them. That was lesson number 2. Lesson number 3 was have fun. Help them grow, make it a fun event. Go out and smile about what we're doing and meet people and make it enthusiastic. And that carried the ball.
So,
now, you talked about your learning and growing in this phone exercise. Are there particular takeaways from that you'd like to share?
I think that if I was in a room by myself without my boss sitting across the desk from me, that I'd be a lot more comfortable. However, I now have down what our product is, how we present it, so I'm a lot more comfortable just giving that spiel to the general public. Plus, I now know some of the nuances that he's coached me in so that I can do it when he's not there. So that really feels good to me.
Okay.
And I think one of the outcomes of that is at 70, he still wants me to be there. So at almost 71, for me, that's a big win for me. So I don't know. But let's go back a little bit if you...
Usually people lie about their age, say they're older than they are. Come on now.
I am just so thrilled that at 70 that I'm still viable in the workforce. Most of the kids have the jobs, and when us oldies get an opportunity to get out there and perform again, it feels pretty good.
I bet it does. I can tell. I can
So
see the smile on your
you
face.
talked about the fact that you've been in leadership in Toastmasters. How is that different from anything else you've ever done?
The skills are transferable. When you lead people, a good leader is a servant leader in my experience.
Right.
You learn that in Toastmasters or somewhere else, and you apply it wherever you're leading. You apply that servant leadership, that good recruitment of a team, that listening and respecting the team, that making it fun. Look out for your team and try to give them a chance to grow and develop so that they can come along with you and be better at whatever they're doing. That's not just Toastmasters. I've been a leader in the United States Navy. I've been a leader at Intel. I've been a manager, and there's a little difference. Managing people is more about, from my experience, telling people what they need to do. Leading is more about helping them see what they want to do and taking them down a path to a goal.
So it's more collaborative.
It's more collaborative. And that, again, it transfers outside of Toastmasters. It's not just for Toastmasters, it's for anything you do, including some skills like listening in my home life, your personal life, not just work, not just Toastmasters. You can use these skills everywhere.
So you're telling me that these are all transferable skills.
They are. Tell me a job or a relationship or a position where you never have to listen. Pretty short list.
It's real short.
Where you never have to speak. Pretty short list. The list where you don't have to lead is a little bit different, because if you tend to be a follower, maybe you don't need the leadership skills. Maybe you're a leader and don't know that you need more leadership skills. Like you didn't know you needed more communication skills until your eyes were opened.
Right. So what I just heard you say, if I might paraphrase, is that Toastmasters can teach you how to lead as well as how to communicate. What are some of the soft skills that you've developed? You know, mine obviously is listening and learning how to speak in a cogent manner. But what are some of the other soft skills that come out of being a Toastmaster?
Well, I'd like to address those. We're going to take a short break. We'll be back in a few minutes to talk more about what Toastmasters can do for you.
Hi, I'm Eric Bergman. As a member of TV Toastmasters, I get to learn all about video production, running a TV show. Plus, I get to be on camera interviewing really fascinating Toastmasters who share their stories about their hobbies, their activities, and how they benefit our community. I also get to bring in members of my home Toastmasters club. We toasted in Lake Oswego. They get to tell their stories and build their communication skills. We're bringing a voice for District 7 Toastmasters here in Oregon and Southwest Washington to a TV audience. And TV Toastmasters is a great way to learn how to spread your message and share your stories with a wider audience.
Welcome back to this segment of TV Toastmasters. I'm here with Ken Coomes, and we're discussing Toastmasters. Welcome back, Ken.
Thank you, Phyllis. Good to be back. Welcome back yourself.
So we were talking about soft skills just before the break. So we talked a little bit about listening, and that is a soft skill, but what else does Toastmasters provide for us?
Well, one of the soft skills, I just realized when we're listening, part of the way we improve in Toastmasters at listening is when we're assigned to evaluate a speaker. So we learn a soft skill of giving gracious feedback. It's not critique. You're not tearing them down and telling them how horrible they did. Where you see that they did great, you encourage them so that they know they've got something of value and they're reminded of that. Where they could be a little bit better, perhaps, you share your opinion about how that might be a way to improve the speech. So you help them grow and develop, as you were talking about, helping people grow. The key is feedback wants to be encouraging and motivating, but it also has to, it's not whitewashing. You want to give them something to work with. And so I learned that in Toastmasters. it's all about helping people grow by telling them things to improve as well as, but in a nice way. So that was a pretty soft skill, I would say.
Well, here's another soft skill that I was just thinking about while you were saying that, is that taking that feedback and using what you need out of it, be discerning about the feedback that you get without letting your feelings get in the way, that it is someone's opinion on how you could improve. And I think that's a soft skill we never talk about. It is building up a little bit of, shall we say, a thicker skin than some people might have, and taking it in and then using what you need and discarding the rest.
A thicker skin with pores so you can let that feedback in
Absolutely.
when it's valid and useful.
Oh, I like that analogy. That's really cool.
Just thought of it, you know, crazy guy. But yes, that accepting feedback is very good to learn. A lot of people today, I've heard this multiple times, have trouble accepting a compliment. So when you learn to get that feedback and someone says something nice, you learn to say, well, thank you, and just simple. You don't need to make a big deal out of it, but you are validating their compliment and accepting it instead of trying to say that you're not that great or argue with them or whatever. And so that's another soft skill, accepting compliments,
Yeah, I
I would
hadn't
say.
thought about it that way. Very good. Here's something else that I learned in Toastmasters, which may or may not fall into the soft skill realm,
Okay.
is how to pull a meeting together quickly, because I think the soft skill in that is being flexible and not as rigid as a person might be in how they view the world. Some people fall apart when they're put on the spot.
Excellent point. We do have to be flexible. Sometimes a member can't make it and they're assigned a role, and you need to find somebody to fill in the role. Someone gets a chance to speak, wasn't assigned as a speaker, but they've got a speech they're ready to give that they've got in their back pocket, let's say, they've been thinking about.
Yeah.
Good point. I like that.
So would that then, flexibility, thinking about that a little bit, for me what that did is it gave me a broader view of the world. That's kind of a hard transition to make, but I think I come from a background where it was quite rigid in my beliefs and the way that I viewed the world, not only from my upbringing, but part of the world I lived in, that type of thing. But I found with Toastmasters that has softened. I no longer hold the rigid views that I once held. I'm more accepting of other people's, other cultures, other ideas, whereas before I wasn't at all. So I don't know if that falls into the soft skills or not, but it certainly has worked for me.
Well, soft or not, it's valuable.
Yeah.
And it makes us,
Yeah.
I think, get along better as people. It's not so much the hate then or the dissonance as it is the acceptance and the agreement.
Exactly.
And when you hear people of different ethnicities and backgrounds and orientations and faiths and whatever share their stories, you get an insight instead of just having your blinders on to whatever you thought before.
Exactly.
Good point. I like that.
And the one thing that I really like about Toastmasters is we are such a diverse community, whether it's age or, because in my clubs we have people that are my age, 70, as well as the new millennials that are just coming into the workforce. So we are able to work with them and get their views, which are totally different from someone who grew up in my generation. So I really appreciate that about Toastmasters. Now, don't we we have different clubs. Let's talk a little bit about the types of clubs that we've got in at least District 7 as well as in the world.
Well, my home club that I call it Daylighters, we've got that same thing. We've got a mix of gender and age and faiths and cultures.
Yep.
We had one speaker for a while, he's not there currently, that did, he was from Korea, and he even gave one of his speeches in Korean. And it was really nice to be able to hear that and appreciate the language. And with his gestures and his vocal variety, we pretty much understood the message even if we didn't get the words.
That's kind of
So
cool.
that was kind of cool and different. But yeah, each club has its, I tell people that are visiting to visit 2 or 3 clubs because each club has its own personality.
Right.
And a prospective new member might find a club with a different personality that they fit in better. So they look around to find that.
I tell people, go visit enough clubs until you find one that fits like an old shoe, and that's the one you join because you're already comfortable, you're at home.
There you go.
So I know we've got some political clubs. I think we have some gender-based clubs. I'm in a storytelling club where we learn to tell our stories.
Okay. And then we have a specialty club, well, TV Toastmasters.
Oh yes,
you
TV
learn TV
Toastmasters.
skills.
Yeah, yeah.
We have feedbackers where you learn more about giving complete feedback. But one of the things about Toastmasters that I think makes it even better, that I learned, had no idea before I came in, when we give that feedback, we're ignoring to a large extent the content. We're not telling them, I agree with your point of view or I
Right.
don't.
Right.
We're saying, I thought you delivered that very well, or you didn't, and helping them deliver it better.
Right.
So if you think rye bread is the best in the world, and I think white bread is the best in the world, and you talk about rye bread, I'm going to tell you whether you convinced me or not and how well you delivered the message. Not that I think white bread is great. I'm just going to talk about how you spoke.
So Toastmasters, in my words, is all about your delivery, not your message.
Exactly.
That's what I love about Toastmasters.
And yet you get to improve your message by learning how to deliver it in a more effective way.
Very true. So in the minute we have left, you're a writer. Let's go back to that. Have you found Toastmasters has helped you at all in your writing career?
So much that I acknowledged Toastmasters in my book, in the acknowledgments section. You hear great stories from other Toastmasters. You see characters you can put into your books. You share your stories and you learn how to make them concise. When you do a 5 to 7 minute speech that is structured, then you get a good idea about how to structure a chapter or a book or a short story without putting in too many words or the wrong words. There are even speeches that focus on the right choice of words. So yes, it made me a much better writer as well as a speaker and listener.
And think how you could take that into the workforce and really improve your career as you're writing white papers and all of that.
And as you have taken it into the workforce, is
I
how you're
have.
speaking on the telephone and
I
so forth.
have. So if we want the audience to learn where to learn more about Toastmasters, where would you have them go?
She is so gracious. She knows the answer to this. If you go to Toastmasters.org on your favorite computer, tablet, or phone, you can find a club by entering your zip code. You can find out more about the organization by checking on the About button. You could find out more about Toastmasters International, a local club. Please visit more than one to see what you like. Find that old shoe. And I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. Even if you listen to every word we said and believed it all, you'll be surprised at what you can learn and experience in Toastmasters. I know we certainly have.
Certainly have. Toastmasters.org.
Toastmasters.org.
Goodbye for now.
Welcome to an opportunity to take the next step of your professional speaking journey. I want you to be honest with yourself. Have you ever wished you were a star in a television show? Well, what if I can offer you a chance to be on TV? Would you take it? That is what I want to offer you now. I'm Dottie Love, Associate TV Producer and Director. Toastmasters International is one of the largest organizations whose mission is to help improve your speaking skills. And District 7 is expanding your opportunities to do speaking via television. We have 4 fully equipped television studios and TV Toastmaster broadcasts to over 500,000 homes, plus a YouTube channel. Who knew? We want to invite you to take advantage of using media and television, either in front or behind the scenes. Let me share a few options that you have. First, you can be a guest on a show. Highlight your business or hobby or your community interest. Anything you're passionate about. Be a featured guest. Secondly, you can train to be a host on an ongoing TV segment. We will train you for that. Third, What about creating your own talk show? We will train you for that as well and give you access to a community media studio to do just that. Or lastly, be behind the scenes, either running a camera or editing shows. You decide which avenue is best for you, and our TV Toastmasters team will help you to navigate to get the most out of your media experience. Personally, I've done them all. I started as a guest, went to hosting, up to directing my own TV show. I don't tell you this to impress you. I tell you this to impress upon you that your personal growth with Toastmasters is directly related to what you take advantage of. And I encourage you to be bold in looking for opportunities to stretch and grow. If this intrigues you, or if you have club members who you think that might be interested in this, please contact us here at TV Toastmasters. I'm Dottie Love, and you can reach me or any of us in the TV Toastmasters family at the contact information at the bottom of the screen. You can also find us on the web. Our website is 7512.toastmastersclub.org.